And I'm good.
Yes.
And part of what we need to say is when COVID came, many jobs got lost.
Exactly.
So those people who had not of their own fault, they were pushed, they lost their job, they lost income. Those are not the ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
We sympathize with them, we empathize with them. But it's also to encourage. Remember, we said that once you know you're not at the victim of circumstances, you're not at the mercies of this world's current, that you have a God who guides you. You don't sink into self-pity.
Yeah.
You don't start pitying yourself or getting defensive. The other day I said there are women I don't want to inbox me.
Yes.
I don't know, but the way they exist, I don't have a conversation with them. Those women who are comfortable staying home and being provided. And they don't work, they don't even put any effort to develop skills. They don't put any effort to contribute to the family finances. They happily call themselves housewives. And they make it like this as a status. And they tell them you can't change the world by staying at home.
That is true.
My friend, you need to model to your daughters and your sons how to change the world, how to cut, how to share the national cake, how to assert your energy out there. But because fools are always fools, they misinterpret one paragraph. To say you are against all those who don't have jobs. And I just simply said those who are comfortable not developing skills, and those who are not going out there to look for jobs. So if you have lost your jobs temporarily, and if you are doing everything you can within your power to regain your footing, we support you. We are with you. Is this group that is so big? That post, I think now it's almost heading 2K comments. I moved on with my life. I could not stay there and listen to so much noise. You know, I remember that day I was calling myself a storm. I keep going. I just keep going. Can't overstay. Once I get the vibe that fools are all over, they don't be challenged.
You're going.
This morning I found another one inboxing me, and I realized you cannot even tolerate. You can't even handle being challenged. Today we are talking about. So the message here is this: there should be an instinct, a survival instinct if you are a normal woman. A survival instinct. This is not education. This is not degree. This does not need you to have prophetic powers.
Survival instinct.
This should be by just that what you have seen around and what can go wrong. You must never get married when you don't have the ability to feed yourself. Should that man die?
And that is true.
You should never risk getting pregnant when you can't feed the thing you're getting pregnant with. Should the man run away? Men run away more than they die. Are we together? Right? No, I'm just using that so that, to sound polite, politically correct. Those who run away are more than those who are taken out by death. But we know either can happen.
Either run away or they die.
There should be something, and that's why I'm telling you, I can't talk to a woman who starts by saying, I got married when I was very young. Why are you telling me? Bramwell, there's a minimum level of common sense and fear of being extinct and being made a slave in a modern world. That fear, Bramwell itself, should make you shiver. Would you imagine walking into a dependency situation, making yourself be controlled and be kept at home? If you don't have that, that's why I'm saying, I'm sorry. I don't know where you come from. I suffered under poverty. Whenever I see anybody comfortable with it, I run in the opposite direction. Sometimes I think it's contagious like measles, and I don't want it to rub off on me. Brahma, I was traumatized to see we are looking up to our mother, and she has to do work for food. Work for food is where you work butter trade. You work the whole day, you're given 5 kilograms of maize. Bramwell, I saw us desperately hoping that our mom gets job that day. I saw us being driven to a hole, being taken to a hole. They exploit you. They give you a very huge portion of work to do. But you have to do it to get food for that day. Sometimes there is no food, there's no the job. You sleep hungry. You have no meals, no basic creature facilities, creature comforts like beds, utensils, things you see common like a TV or a sofa set or a seat. I know what can go wrong when we are careless with childbearing, when we are careless with personal development. I have felt it in my DNA. If you see me going up in fire, it's because I am coming from there.
Right.
So the job we are discussing today is we are discussing a person who has this basic survival instinct to secure their own well-being before thinking of romance. So now, job hopping, we are talking about jumping from job to job unnecessarily. That's what we are saying. A person who is continually dissatisfied. Let me tell you why people move unreasonably from job to job. It's not always, many of them, the obvious reason is they're looking for one that is better paying. They think I'll get a better one, be paid better. Yeah. They're focusing on what they're being given, not what they're giving. Yeah. And they're not focusing on their growth. So people job hop when they're not thinking of their growth. They're only thinking of the benefits and the proceeds, size of the check, size of the payment, size of the salary. Right? They're counting the figures on the paycheck. And it's important to check how much you're being paid, but that should not be the only thing you consider when you pick up a job. You pick up a job according to where it is in your journey of growth. How you are growing, this is the next brick that should be laid. Yeah. This is where I am, according to where I'm going. You should have a bigger picture in view, how much challenge you're being given. People who are irresponsible and people who are selfish and who are money-oriented and materialistic and short-sighted only look at the size of the salary, only look at the hours they're working, only look at whether it is fun being in that work environment, whether only look at how it is helping, how it is exciting them. Mature people look at the larger picture. Mature people will change a job when they're no longer being challenged. And you to realize that. Yeah. They mean we are being paid a lot. They realize it's no longer stretching me. I'm not improving. My mission in this life to continue improving. They try to take better responsibilities and to expand their job. So if you're being given a short run and your seniors have given you enough room to be creative, to introduce new content, to bring the kind of guests you want, to bring the kind of content you want, the kind of music you want, that has indefinite room for growth. But if they have controlled everything to the T, you're just a machine. You may realize, okay, I just wanted now to control the microphones and the computers, and I've learned that part. Now I want another place where I can bring my own content.
Yeah. You want to grow.
Yes. It may reach a point and you realize another reason people job hop, you may not expect it, is fear. They get to a job that is stretching them, that is asking them to try new things, that is asking them to go new directions. But they are so uncomfortable with the uncertainty. They wanted only the routine they're used to. So they lost the first job that they loved and they were used to, and they're looking for a replica of that job. It's a fear of change, fear of growth, fear of being made in charge. They are used to being told exactly what to do, but now nobody is telling them exactly what to do. Everybody is asking them to be creative, to get outside their shell. So this saying of grass is greener has been here for a long time. Things are better the other side. Abraham, I want to tell you that there are some colleagues of yours who are working maybe for bigger media stations. Yeah. Internationally, maybe. They have more YouTube following. They have bigger social media following. And you may think they're happier. Mm-hmm. When you get to their situation, you realize it is them who have learned to be happy with their journey. Mm-hmm. It is how happy you are with your journey. In fact, it's how well you are dedicated. I may surprise you that lazy people don't like hearing this. But employers are looking for good workers just as much as workers are looking for good employers.
True.
The search is two-way.
Yeah.
The search is two-way. This should comfort everybody who loves their job, that you cannot stay jobless for long. Yeah. Let me repeat this sure-proof formula for you. In order to never be jobless, be excellent. Yeah. You can be unemployed for a while you are entering the industry. But sooner or later, who you are will start to stand out. I was teaching myself how to be an excellent person. And I studied masters from 2014 to 2016. I studied, I knew I was not yet excellent in anything. So I was not unemployed. I was simply preparing. I was simply learning. Those years of learning, you can't say you're jobless. Yeah. You are not quite qualified. But from the time I graduated at 2016, I began now to count down, when I'll pop my head in the industry. And I was sending myself at a very high rate. I registered for PhD 2017. PhD is almost a corporate. You can do PhD while you're working. You don't have to stay at home and study fast. PhD is a mature. Okay. Unless what you're studying, what you want to work needed the PhD. Many people do PhD while still working. So I was not considering myself to be a student. I was considering myself to be a developing now life coach. So what I did, man, every chance I got, I took it to the uttermost. And the longest period I was going to stay without stable income was not going to exceed 3 years. And I decided that. That was 2017, 2018, 2019. And I didn't want to be employed. I wanted to develop my own business, to coach people, counsel people. And I decided that that's what I needed. Now, this job hopping thing, one is caused by fear. People don't want to learn new things. They don't want to be given new responsibilities. They're too lazy to try new things, so they think they will fail. They think they can't be trusted with the responsibilities, and they clock it like it's they want to do the very best, what they're best at. This life, jobs are changing, evolution, there's change, there's, alterations. What you trained perfectly for in the university or your first job may no longer be so much needed. They wanted you to add other. Those people are taught how to keep ledger, keep books. The books now are digital. You learn a software now. That time you learned the books and the filing, now you learn a software. Now, the second reason people hop from job to job is they believe too much in being employed. I've told you that when you are excellent, when you stand out, when you focus on mastering your skill, not getting the best job, focus on mastering, understanding. Whenever you hear of mastering, remember those guys who have become synonymous. Marathon with Eliud Kipchoge. The guy was mastered running. Floyd Mayweather mastered boxing. Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, guys who have mastered football. Serena Williams, a guy who did the thing and he stood out for it. Oprah Winfrey, something that maybe that time was not a big business, but she has mastered it. If you're listening to us, that should be your aim. I'm looking for a well-paying job. Well-paying jobs will never make you wealthy. Nobody pays you to make you wealthy. They pay you hoping you are using the exposure they are giving you to grow. Good-hearted employers. We are not all exploit. We also have staff. You also have people who are working for you. You may have an assistant at home. You may have a babysitter at home. But what is your aim with your driver, with your guard? You are hoping with the opportunity you are giving them, they are not just spending everything to survive. They are using part of it to grow. We all know at some point we will move on. We are hoping our good company will last for as long as possible. But we know life that does not stop. We know that at some point people will move on. At some point people will have to think of other better things. So your aim is not high-paying jobs. Your aim is not government employment. Government pays you what is average. It is the most average payer because they're using your own taxes to pay people. It's a very plain, open secret. And I don't know why people glamorize government employment too much.
Because they think that is where you get 99.9.
Security, yes. You see, your salary was discussed by a parliament. It was discussed and made to be the most average possible. Things to do with the politics and distribution and government, they always work with average. The only well-paid government employees are seniors who have been at it maybe for 20 years. If you start today, and instead of taking the path of aiming to be a senior government employee, you start with your potential for self-employment and self-development, focus that direction. You'll overtake everybody else. Not everybody has the personality for business and entrepreneurship. Many of them have the personality to work in an establishment, in a government, in a company, and they excel. I don't want you to force yourself here instead of there. Just know where you work best at. But even if you're working for yourself or for other people, self-development should be constant. You should be aiming at mastering what you do. Should be aiming at mastering what you do. If you look at, for example, Jeff Koinange and Oprah Winfrey, one is in an establishment, the other one is independent, her own business. But they are all masters at their craft. If you master your craft, whether you are employed or you are self-employed, you call the shots. You call the shots. Brahman, let me remind you the purpose for money. We look for finance because of freedom, not for flashing.
Yeah.
Let me repeat that. We don't need finance so that we may live a flashy life. Look for finance to get freedom. How do you know you have freedom? When you can wake up and decide what you want to do with your day.
Yeah.
Freedom can simply be defined as the ability to decide how to use your day without anybody telling you, sign up here, where are you, come here. Primarily, when you're good at your job, even your seniors will enjoy so much leaving you alone to do your work.
Yeah.
They just enjoy and they don't check his Bramel around. You know, and I told you there's nothing as enjoyable to me as a person who has employed a person to only hear that clients are happy with what my staff is doing. You know, I'll feel so good when you have a business and customers are giving good feedback that whoever is at that business is doing it very well. That's what my employer, when you're employed, that's what they want. That's what they want, to give them easy life. They have given you your job. Prove yourself by being diligent. They never have to check on you, and you know they know if Brahman ever got in trouble, it's a genuine trouble. Because even when it's raining, Brahman is never late.
Yeah.
No, rain is a universal excuse for lazy people and the traffic jam. They know if it's raining and there's jam, Brahman will get a motorbike. He will do anything to be where he's supposed to be. And you can anticipate. It looks like raining. Let me calculate backwards and add a few minutes before. You know, you can anticipate and say, yeah, the way it looks, vehicles may not be moving. Let me call my motorbike guy tomorrow morning. You can think ahead. Now, job hopping comes when you believe too much that you can only be employed to survive in this world. And I want you to drop that and know that there are people who, for some period in their life, they work in an establishment. For the next period in their life, they work independently. And I don't want you to force your woman to join you in starting a business. If she thrives better in employment, let her stay in employment. If she thrives better when there is order and structure, there are people who feel more energized when there is a bigger order and structure. There are many of us, others who find order and structure confining and limiting. We can't stand it. The idea that everything has been predetermined. You sit on this chair, you work on this from 8 to 5. You know, your personality, go with it. My girl works better in an established order. She wants deliverables. Okay, she wants defined duties. She thrives better there. If we switch roles, she'll feel lost. I'll also feel lost. I can't stand something that has been already decided. I want that freedom. But again, freedom comes with a lot of responsibility. I must come up with the structure, what needs to be done. I'm always experimenting. You cannot be an entrepreneur. You cannot be committed to growth if you can't stand being wrong, being corrected. Because it's part of your daily life. Being told that one you did wrong. I don't like what you're doing, ABCD. Try change to this one. And you take it positively as a step of growth. It's another understanding you've gotten. It's another understanding you've gotten. So when you say job hopping, it's very common among those people who what they're looking for is what they're getting out of the job. Now, let me do the opposite. If you're contemplating changing your job and you may think we are discouraging you, everybody has to change jobs at some point in life. We are talking about the reason and the frequency with which you are changing and the purpose. Where are you moving from job to job? If you're moving because you want better challenge, that's a positive thing. If you're moving because you want to, that you are exhausted, this part, or you realize this job is just not a good fit for you. Or there are people who took jobs for survival, not for success. When they were jobless and somebody offered them something, they said they can work at this if they get the right one. If you had gotten this in the meantime, you're justified. We are not saying you're wrong. Number two, you can change jobs even in quick succession if you're looking for the job that will grow you. The job hopping we are discouraging is where people are looking for better pay, better fun, better perks, you better this. It's when they're looking at what they're getting. You don't ignore the salary. You need money. And you should be paid according to the quality of your service. Brahman never undersell in this world.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be so confident and decide what you deserve. And when people can no longer pay you, sometimes employers employ you at a small pay and they want to keep you there 5 years. You have grown so much. Hey, I saw that meme where all the other children have grown. Bread has grown. Meat has grown. The price of fuel has grown. But the salary is still very short.
Very short. Yes.
The salary is still very small. Sometimes people employ you and they don't improve your pay like you're improving in your work. I'll tell you how to measure whether you deserve a pay. Have you increased how much you're helping them earn? How much fruit you're giving your employer? In fact, if you have doubled, your pay should also be doubled. Sometimes it's not direct money you're bringing. It's how much efficiency you brought in that department, in that docket. How much results and fruits. Once you sense that now you have evolved and these people are not evolving, they're paying with you, for employers to add you 5,000 is a very big issue. 5,000 is a very big issue. $50, it's a big issue. It has to be debated and approved on several levels. And I told you in other cases, we are employers. Yes. Don't just think employers are they, even us.
Yeah.
Because when you add a salary, it's a commitment that you'll always now pay that way. So for a year, it's like the addition is 5 times 12. The addition is cumulative over time. But we are saying, few people in this world can keep up with a committed person who is growing. So you will find yourself still upgrading your jobs every now and then. Otherwise, you may not leave that job. You may expand by the side. Your new abilities, you channel them to another direction. Create a social media presence. You create another, weekly meetings where you discuss issues. You create another presence elsewhere where your extra content, you take it out, and which can also give you now more income, a second stream of income. So the last thing before you bring, can see you have some questions. One of the things we are dealing with that world is the complaint that we have no jobs. There's always a hue and cry. Youth have no jobs. The government is failing. And as you said, yes, government has a place. Yes, government. But I tell you, the problem, nobody has the job they want all over the world. Even if you go to America, not everybody is happy with their job. Some have no job. Some are looking for better ones. So the competition primarily is constant world over. It may be worse in Africa, but it is good things are always in short supply. Accept that early in life so that you don't feel too entitled and you feel angry because nobody is handing you jobs. Your solution with all jobs, as I told you, I know guys who told me they have standing job offers. People admire how you work for their competitor until they want you on their team.
Yeah.
They have seen your efficiency until they can't stand the potential missing out on you. So they tell you, we know you're employed, but we want to give you a better offer. They say, no, I'm committed here. I would like to serve here until I'm done. As I told you, mature people don't just jump because of salary. Yeah. They look at more. Maybe here I'm being paid 100,000, for example, and you're telling me you pay me 140 or 150. But here I have more room to make decisions, to grow. Here I have more rooms to invent. I have more space to expand. When I weigh, maybe some time later in the future, not now. They tell you, should you ever be available, we'll be very happy to work with you. And I told you how football clubs get new players. Either they look for a player to fill a vacant position, or they create a position to bring in a player who is too good to pass. Yeah. Brahman, the way to make sure you never hang in this world and you're jobless. Be too good to pass. Be too good to be forgotten. Becoming too good is not a one-day thing. In fact, the way to be exceptional is to simply love learning. Use every experience to improve yourself. Spend your most resources and your most opportunities to become a better person, to improve, to advance, to develop yourself. I'll tell you the truth that many times that's not what they emphasize in schools. Yeah. They emphasize skills. But we said beyond skills, develop values. One of the values that should be at their forefront, the one that you invest money constantly, the one that a day can't go without you practicing it, is learning something new. One thing I love my job is because it's learning and teaching.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I simply learn new things and teach them. For me, that is my best. That's what I want to do. To improve lives, to improve my life and improve the lives of others. To teach, to look at new angles, to interact with the questions, to have debates and discussions. That's why I love my Facebook. Looks like a group discussion. You know, it's vibrant. There are these issues, the other, and I enjoy so much that when we can have conversations in Africa that have not been held for a very long time.
Yeah.
And my prayer has always been for God to give me what He wishes us to know. And the depth with which I came to realize what is troubling us is not a new thing. It's simply these things you're hearing us discussing here. A person who's not committed to their growth, they're only looking for weekends to go and eat meat and dance and party.
Yeah.
So they endure the week and they enjoy the weekend. They live for the weekend. This person is not focused on the better person they're becoming. The more you grow, the more you realize you can't sustain every weekend, partying every weekend. You can't sustain it. It's not even enjoyable. You don't like it. One of the things you always look forward to is, what's next? Now I've covered this. What's next? Whenever you achieve something, Bramwell, it's no longer exciting. You've achieved that. Now what's next? I've achieved that. What's next? I've always wanted to have a show like in Africa where it can be a Steve Harvey of sort, or Oprah Winfrey of sort. They keep asking you when we shall ever catch up with America, when they have all those people. And Africa, we have none. Or very few who never stay, who don't stay at it. But let's be the kind of people who we have run our career for a long time, like the Steve Harveys and Oprah Winfreys and the T.D. Jakeses and people who have run their career over the years, over decades, over a generation. You can have a qualitative impact on a generation. You can journey a people from one level of mindset to another. We are getting that kind of feedback already. In our work, we may have noticed people are saying, guys, by listening to you, generally, you have lifted my level of thinking. You can give a person a good idea, or you can give them a better mindset. Now, that's a generational change. When there's a lady from Uganda when I was starting my career, just a while back, she sent me a screenshot of her playlist and it was full of my videos and it was very touching because she was doing with my work what I do with other people's work. I get a teacher who is good and I learn everything from them. I listen and re-listen and in turn I said, oh, so it is this direct. It is this, I mean, it's what God had said, what you sow, you shall reap. Yeah. I did not know that it was that literal. Brahman, if you want people to be stuck to their radios and screens, make sure you're also stuck on other radios and the screens.
Yeah, it is two-way.
Imagine, I never knew it is that literal.
Yeah.
It's how deeply you're fed. That's how deeply people can feed from you. You may remember the frustrating experience of some lecturers who are very lousy. Just touching on the surface and avoiding and engaging the content, wasting time, being slow. Then you may remember others who would be so deep and make you immersed and thoughtful because they themselves were swimming deep. If you want to never be pending for long, forgotten and you have no job for long, be deep and immersed. Where does that come from? Constantly, day by day, value learning more than earning. Value learning more than earning. Buy books. Get ideas. Use Facebook and social media, not just for entertainment. It's entertainment at its place. I follow a few pages for fun. Some guys who call themselves just for laughs. Their job is to make yours easier. Just to create some laughter. And they're very creative. You may follow a prank here and there, but it cannot be that your whole timeline is pranks. I follow many pages that they're just educational. Then I follow a few entertaining guys. Every now and then it's a spice inside, but it's not a meal. I'm there to learn. Bramwell, I want you to be that kind of person even when you're waiting when you have a few minutes before sleep. The thought that crosses your mind is to check what some guys have posted. When you have that over years to distinguish you, people wanted overnight change, overnight success. What is the secret to finding a job quickly? Overnight. What is the secret? People think there's a secret. Secret. It's a process. It's not a secret.
Secret.
The secret is a process. They want a quick transformation. They want something they can click on and off.
Yeah.
Life does not have such tricks. The only solution you have is to embark on a journey. Bramwell, I started studying what I'm doing now in 2011.
Look at that.
Purposefully. When I was finishing campus, I said, what life do I want? I want to transform people's lives. That time I did not know the word life coach. It was not common here. But I knew public speaker. I knew counselors. I knew motivational speaker. I said, whatever it is, that's where I'll earn my living. And I started buying books, reading, studying, listening to messages. I came to realize later, mastery takes 10 years of intense practice. And people heard about me in 2020. I keep asking you, is it only a coincidence that people heard about me after 10 years? It works, Brahma. Don't worry about 10 years. They'll still pass, even if you don't do anything with them.
You'll still pass.
They'll still pass. You can't hurry time, you can't slow time. You can only apply, use time the way you want. The years that have been allocated of your life are there. It's how high you rise within that time that matters. And that's why I told you, keep encouraging bachelors not to wait for perfection before they get married. Don't rush into marriage before you're ready, but don't wait to be perfect before you're ready, before you marry. Is to know marriage is only the beginning of another journey. Don't wait to buy cars and build big houses. You'll do that with your wife. Get to a place where now you can team up with another and build on. That's all you need to. Get to a place where you can team up with another and build from there. You're not looking for a woman to carry. Get a woman who has enough survival instinct. I told you this is not wisdom even. This is not being genius. Just survival instinct of having the ability to earn something.
Yeah.
To add to the family dynamics. To contribute. And as I told you something, sometimes she does not need to be working in a different place. She can be working under the same empire you're building. It can be a family business. For example, we want to build the best radio show in East and Central Africa. And because she has passion in radio, maybe she's a journalist, she's the one researching, gathering materials for you. You simply give her the topic for tomorrow as she spends the day getting the materials together for you. You come in the evening, you already have it parallel together, you're studying it. She's working. She's contributing to the family dynamics. She's contributing to the family finances. The better you become, the better you earn. The better jobs you get. Sometimes our women help us literally in our careers. And they become integral part of it. You don't expect the wife of a president that has another busy job somewhere.
Yeah.
Assisting the president is job enough. They are working together now in the presidency. You understand?
Yeah.
The wife of people who are very busy or the husband of people who are very busy may find that under that person, there's enough job to pay them, occupy them, keep them growing, and keep them united. So when you say working, we don't always mean a different company. In fact, I told you, let us stop depending on other employers. Let's build family empires that can absorb all our children.
Yeah.
They should not have to be interviewed and harassed out there in the world begging for jobs. We should have built a family business that can give them all the jobs they want. Business, lawyers, medic. In fact, I keep encouraging, when you marry a woman, find what you can do jointly. Even if she's a lawyer and you're a journalist, and there seems like there's nothing in between that is common between the two of you. One of you may have an inclination to open a business, or the two of you decide, let's open real estate. So that you are in that industry, I'm in that industry, but you have shares in many companies. We have an investment company. We have real estate. We have there's a sector we like. And you build it as a family, and your children start helping manage that family empire. They can also go to other careers, but they have a financial standpoint from the family resources. So what we are saying is not always a different job. In fact, I keep encouraging people. There's such an advantage when you're working in the same industry. You're bringing your mind together. If you can work in the same industry, if, for example, you marry a lady and she's a teacher And you have always nursed that goal of teaching. Now, you can look at, now that she's a teacher, what can we do? She also likes to begin a school. You say, hey, why don't we start a school of journalism? I love teaching. I know journalism. You are a teacher. You know how curriculum should be structured. And I've always wanted to teach. Why don't we start a school of, journalism? Always, if you can merge it and you do it together, most successful businesses in the world were made by families. The Indian families always use that secret, but we don't seem to learn it.
Exactly.
It's a family business with India.
Yeah.
They pick shoes, they pick belts or buttons. Small thing, steel wool. They pick things that are small. But the family focuses on it. Kiwi is a family company.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell Africans to unite as families? Unity of families begins with you and your wife. Then your children join. Yeah. Try to unite with your wife on a goal and train your children about the safety of family businesses and why we should always, families are the ones that can last long with wealth, not just individuals. So as you work in your industry, work in my industry, what can we do jointly to give us strength? We may not come to the same career, both of us. But if we can come, the better. If we cannot come, we can invest somewhere. The money you are getting, the money I'm getting, what can we do as a family? We build something jointly. Yes.
All right. And I like that. Benjamin, just listening to you, this is actually evident enough that there are so many things that most of us are doing wrong. So the underlying factor in all that we're saying here is people are ignoring the fact that in as far as changing jobs at a very high and alarming frequency, that other hiring managers will actually, their attention will be drawn towards how frequent you change jobs. That is an aspect that most young people I see have actually ignored. So they are thinking that I want to get experience from one company to the other, one company with the other, forgetting that it will come to eat them at some point.
When people read your CV and they realize you don't stay, they will also suspect even here you won't stay.
You won't stay.
It's important you have the ability to endure difficulties, because when you go to a new company, of course, you find good people and people are not good. People get along and others you don't get along. It is not always how do I feel in that company. It's how can I fit? Let me look for a way to fit and work here long enough to have exhausted what I came here to learn. So that skipping from one job to another may come to play against you when people realize you have no commitment. They can't count on you. There's something important when you see that here you worked for a few years. You did 2 years here, 3 years. They also know 2 years is good enough. Maybe even 1 year. But if you are barely there 2 months, barely here 3 months, barely here a month, they can see that there's some instability with you. You should investigate the company you're joining enough to know that if you get the job, you're likely to stay. Unless there are other things you find inside, which does not happen with every company. So the thing is to tell them you're also building your reputation. Those who want to employ you in future, they will see whether you have the capacity to stay. Yes.
I like that. Now, some people actually hop jobs because of their own values. You realize that there is a time we talked about the company's culture.
Yes.
So you'll understand that some people, their own values actually are not in line with the company structure or the company culture. So maybe that is another reason as to why some people jump from one.
Yes, you can see a job from outside, and when you get inside, you realize there's maybe immorality, there's corruption. They are not principled. They want to cut corners. They want to be corrupt, and you decide you don't want to be part of this. When you quit because your conscience was convinced this is not right, you can defend that decision. Even in the next interview, they'll ask you, we can see here you only stayed 3 months. Yeah, I realize my principles and my integrity could not operate there because I want to do the truth. And this will not happen, of course, in every job you get, because you can still stand your firm without resigning. There's a lady who told me she refused to be corrupt and she thought she would be fired, and she was never fired. Actually, it was just me. I heard her telling the story. Many times she needed the job so badly, but now they're asking her to falsify documents, to write, to facilitate fraud. But she refused. she ended up being more respected to the seniors, being given more duties. And I've also known many people who put their jobs on the line to stand for the truth. Remember, God is also with you. Sometimes if you stand for the truth and you're fired, perhaps you're being spared from prison. You're being spared from worse troubles. Perhaps you'd have stayed and compromised only later for the investigator to come around. Only later for the one who, for those who check records to show up and they realize that it's not really, you compromised once and you cannot reverse and you're already sucked in. And remember, this is a spiritual world. Those of us who are determined to be a light in the world, you keep on being tested, keep on being tempted to lie, to cheat, to cut corners. So my strong advice is that as much as you know what you stand for, be ready that you're going to pay a price for what you stand for. Your principles are not principles until you've paid a price for them. If you believe in honesty, but when circumstances are bad, you can lie. That is not honesty. Yes.
All right. Now, how important is understanding one's personality before entering into a job market? Because that is also another attribute that pushes people to actually job hop, personalities.
Yes, if you know by your energy you operate a certain way, make sure the position you're applying for, or as they interview you, also interview them. During the interview, ask a few questions about the nature of that position, because you know how you operate as a person. Maybe your personality is very team-oriented, people-oriented. You work best when you're with a few people. You work best when you're working with a few people. But if you're fixed in a position where your personality is the opposite, as I was telling you, I can't work where it's secluded and it is very structured. I will not be able to function. I was aware of that. Back then, I was not sure whether it is a personality trait or what is the problem with it. But now I know it was something to do with how I'm created, something to do with my personality. Be aware of what cannot work for your personality and what is the ideal. Remember, we told people to never marry or seek for jobs before they know their personality. You will apply for the wrong positions without knowing how your personality operates. How to know your personality? There's some guys called 16personalitytest.com. They're one of the best. Do that test online. It's free. Get the knowledge. In fact, acquire the material. Go to YouTube. Research on that. They can give you a personality, maybe ESTJ or ISTJ or ENTP. They'll give you now start researching. If it sounds like you, if you don't think it's accurate, repeat it. Sometimes people are too defensive. They answer questions without being careful. But learn something and then roll out certain jobs. Roll out certain positions. Roll out. And get to know, I work best with people contact, I work best with computers, I work best with space without people, I work best outdoors, I work best indoors, I work best this. Be able to define how you work best so that as you pick the jobs, you pick the one you have the chance to succeed at.
Right. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Kindly share your social media accounts and your phone number, please.
Benjamin Zulu KE at that is Benjamin Zulu KE, and then there is Benjamin Zulu KE at gmail.com, 0701 299 333.